Oh my, you guys are going to want to watch this. We have a celebrity blade in front of the TheApostleP camera. Yeah, I know. It looks like a $30 Glock field knife, doesn't it? Au contraire. This one's got some history. Stick around, guys. We'll talk about it. Hi, gang. Rob here. It's the evening of 8 January 2015. And yes, this pedestrian, desert tan, polymer handled, polymer sheathed Glock field knife is going to be the star of our show tonight. Yeah, it's nothing special, is it? Nothing special at all. In fact, you might say, nothing fancy. Yeah, you might say that. It's just a 6.5 inch bladed, 5 inch handled field knife. This particular one, the Model 81 with the saw back, made out of some kind of spring steel. Glock doesn't really get specific, probably 5160. It is made in Austria, and a good way for Glock to showcase their revolutionary, at least in the early 80s, polymer handle material in a knife. And also, legend has it that this butt cap is removable, and with some adapter it becomes a bayonet for the fabled Steyr AUG rifle. But I don't know really what the market is in Europe for these knives, but I certainly don't think it has made the classic American K-bar sell less units. I mean, it's just kind of, look at that stamped cross guard. You can see the tooling lines for the stamp from the stamping process. It's just, well, it's nothing fancy. It is only 7.1 ounces for a 6.5 inch blade and a 5 inch handle, and not coincidentally 200 thousandths thick blade stock. In fact, ironically, it weighs less than that knife. The overbuilt folder with the 3.25 inch blade. Which one gives you more tactical capability and strength, you figure? I think we've beat that horse enough, haven't we? Okay. All right, I've kept you in suspense long enough. Why is this $30 plastic handled knife with the 1.5 ounce plastic sheath in front of the camera tonight? Well, I'll show you why. I'll show you exactly why. Because it is, in fact, nothing fancy. And I know you guys think I'm a little silly in this regard, but I love Nuttin. I mean, I really do. This channel wouldn't exist without him. He puts in more time and takes more flack for testing and reviewing stuff you and I love than any other channel operator on YouTube. Guaranteed. He's a perfectionist. Not that he's right all the time. You know, he gets brain locked and tunnel vision. Sometimes we all do, myself included. But guys, he's poured his heart and soul into this YouTube thing with outdoors and tactical gear like nobody else, and nobody can take that away from him, whether you agree with him or not, whether you like him or not, whether you've been a TNPer in good standing for 6 or 7 years, or whether you've been banned from TNP. So here's the story, guys. My buddy Campfire Talk has been, well, he's been a friend of mine for a long time, but he's been a friend of Nuttin's even longer. And back in, you guessed it, October of 2010, he visited Nuttin Fancy. think a video or two might have been done. Some shooting was done. And Nuttin had a couple of these Glock knives, I think, shortly after he reviewed them on the Nuttin Fancy project. And engraved one and gave it to Campfire Talk. Gave it to Campfire Talk. Well, you guys will remember a couple of months ago, my buddy who got his first Sebenza was indeed Campfire Talk. And he had to make some tough decisions in order to fund that purchase. And he sold a couple knives. One of them was his Benchmade 162 Bushcrafter, and the other was this one. And I know it might sound a little odd, maybe a little sacrilegious for somebody who was given such a gift from such a pillar of the YouTube community, such an icon, would give it away. He didn't give it away. He sold it to me. And I'm the only one he considered selling it to. Because he knows the appreciation I have for Nuttin. And I paid a little more than the retail value for a garden variety Glock field knife, and that is completely okay. And Camp, you may rest assured, this knife rests in the hands of a good conservator. I will probably not ever sharpen it. I may never use it, but then again I might, because Nuttin would say, "Dude, why are you using my knife?" So I'll wrestle with that for a while. I just think it's great. You know, I had for a while till I had to raise some money to buy my latest Sebenza, and you guys have seen this knife on the channel and on my Instagram account. I had a purple TNP edition line steel SR1A, which I really treasured, but that was, you know, one of a few hundred knives, not personally engraved, not personally autographed and dated by Nuttin Fancy. That was, you know, it was laser etched with TNP number 34. This is a whole nother level of TNP cool. And yeah, I am a charter member of TNP. Been there from the beginning as a viewer and a commenter, and even, yes, an imitator at times. And that is okay. It is the sincerest form of flattery, and Nuttin, you deserve some flattery. After all these years, let's face it, you do. And if you're watching this video, and I hope you do, I'm grateful to be part of the legacy. And I'm grateful to have a piece of it in my stewardship. So, awesome. Well, let's talk about the knife. Enough gushing. We have here really a classic bayonet, don't we? As a cutting tool, it's not necessarily much to look at and probably doesn't perform very well. It's, like I said, 200 thousandths thick, 5 millimeters it is. Flat ground from about 3/4 of its breadth, so it's pretty steep. It comes to a fairly thin dimension behind the cutting edge. It does thicken a little bit toward the tip. The edge is horrible. See if you can hear this burr. See where it's the worst. Oh yeah, here. It's pretty bad. Who cares? You know, it's got plunge grind issues. You hear me complain about that all the time. The edge grind is not very good. Look at that stamping though, made in Austria, Glock Model 81. I think as an emergency field tool, awesome. You could definitely notch some trees for, you know, attaching some cordage, maybe building some shelter, hanging a hammock, whatever you need to do. Plenty good for food prep. Like I said, although it's a bit of a wedge, it's thin enough behind the edge to be made into an adequate slicer. The spring steel should be pretty doggone easy to put a good edge on if you like. And how about its defensive capabilities? Although we have no jimping, or as the icon would say, jumping, we have none of that. We just have a very functional cross guard. I mean, very functional. Super comfortable for the thumb with that nice radius at the top. Good blade catching ability from an aggressor. on top and bottom. Of course, you guys have heard me say this before. God made the human hand to hold on to a stick. And what we have here is a stick with a bit of a palm swell. And, it's a comfortable handle. The grooves really don't lend much in the way of purchase, and the polymer is a little bit slick. But hey, guys, it's a $30 field knife / bayonet. And with the combination of this quite awesome sheath, which has a quick detach capability on a belt, and it is super great for retention. Listen to that thing click home. See those notches in the handle? That's where the sheath snaps in. Completely reversible. If you are a right-hander, you would use it thusly, and if you're a lefty, you just flip it over. Works well in either direction. Got a lashing point if you'd like to tie it to your leg, and you've got a nice functional drain hole. It does rattle a little bit, but retention, of course, is going to be rock solid. You saw how it attaches, and it weighs 1.5 ounces. Whole package, 8.6 ounces. Awesome. Especially if it's going to be a rarely used knife. If you are a European tactical operator and you are carrying a Steyr AUG for another 8.6 ounces, barely half a pound, you got a bayonet and an emergency field knife, a trench digger, tent peg notcher, whatever, for ½ pound. And that spring steel, fairly indestructible, guys. You can probably bend that thing 90 degrees and it'll spring right back. They run these pretty soft, I think about 53 to 55 Rockwell, which will make it super serviceable in the field. Sharpen it on anything you want. Bottom of a coffee cup, flat rock, your buddy's head, if it's hard enough. Yeah, for 30 bucks. Which one you think's a more realistic tactical operator's tool? Yeah. Okay. I kind of like it. This knife was actually on my radar screen for many years after I saw Nutton's review of the Glock field knives. You'll remember he, I believe, had Mr. Fitzen work on his because he thought it was a little chunky behind the edge, and I think John might have butchered it a little bit. I think that one in the video did not have the sawback, which I think makes it the model number 78. They made them both ways. But I just never ended up buying one of these. In fact, another knife that was on my radar screen that never got purchased was, an M9 bayonet that will fit the American or the NATO rifle platform. Ontario makes them. Landk makes them. Can't remember who else, but there are several suppliers for the American M9 bayonet. Never got one of those either. Just other knives became more important purchases for me. But I got one now, and probably unless Campfire Talk begs me to sell it back to him at some point, it's going to stay safe, and it's going to be in the loving stewardship of a TNPer for life. How cool. Just another one of those knife community stories that I love to tell and love to be a part of. I have no autographed sports memorabilia. I have no autographed movie posters. You guys feel free to pile on if you want, but this is kind of the only autograph I want. Sick, I know. Sorry. Sorry, the Apostle P subscribers, and sorry, Nutton, if you're watching this. Don't worry, I don't know where you live and don't really want your address. That's all for tonight, my friends. Thank you, Campfire Talk. I really, really appreciate it. And I thought you guys would like to see it because, deep down, we're all TNPers, aren't we? Grace to you and peace, my friends, from God our Father, the Lord Jesus Christ, and a little piece of nothing fancy. Have a good night.